What's up, RGV? Kevin Aro alongside Jake Berry back for week 2 of the midweek grind. Jake, week 1 came and went, and we saw some teams make some statements. We saw some teams do what we thought they would do, and we saw some pretty incredible individual performances. So we saw Los Fresnos come out and beat Ed Calchelsa in week 1. We saw Mark Mata, who really dashed through and around Ed Calchelsa defense, made it on Bleacher Report. Los Fresnos, they impressed us in their week 1 win. The Cardinals made the statement, as a lot of us thought they would. Of course, Robert Guerra, he made ESPN. Mata also made Bleacher Report. Guerra went for 9 touchdowns. It was real impressive with that big win over Victoria East. And then last week, you mentioned about Campbell Spates and how he was going to get his first start at the running back position. He got it. He impressed. So, Jake, let's start with Los Fresnos. And what did you see there?
I saw Los Fresnos was, they grinded that game out. They scored more than Ed Calchelsa, which I don't think people would have thought that. I think if you thought that they were going to play well, you would have thought it's going to be a tough defensive grind. They scored 50 points on Ed Calchelsa. Ed Calchelsa was supposed to have this Thunder defense, and the Thunder rolled just the other way.
Yeah, no, there was 3 things I brought up in last week's Los Fresnos Ed Calchelsa matchup, and now I did get the prediction wrong, but 2 things I was right about. 1, that Mark Mata was going to have a coming out party, and 2, it could have been a shootout, and it was. So we were real impressed with that. We're going to get to Ed Calchelsa and Vela in just a little bit, so the road does not get any easier for the Jackets. The Cardinals, we got some highlights of that. Gage was out there, and they did what we thought they can do, but I think they did it with a little more authority.
Yeah, Harlingen just came out flying, jumped all over Mitch and Betts, and really they didn't let down, but they did that with a lack of Tienda. Tienda's out. Leo Tienda's out. He's going to be out from here until the 5th week, week 5. So they're going to have to do it by committee. It's going to be a total team effort. But if you've ever seen Manny Gomez's teams, they win by next man up mentality. It sounds cliche, but yeah, they're gonna be just fine.
Yeah, no, we were real impressed with what Abel Castaneda was able to do, and they got Duffy out there, who I believe plays both sides of the ball, plays safety and plays wide receiver, so he did really well. And then really, which ended up being the game of the week, and that was what was happening in Victoria. I was at the Sherryland game, and I was following the scores, and it seemed as if the defenses were just, I don't know if they were on the field or not, but 63 points for Edinburgh Vela and Robert Guerra and what he did. Jake, well, start with pointing to the elephant in the room with Robert Guerra.
Well, I mean, he scored more than he's got more touchdowns than I think some teams might have all this year. So if you read some websites, they actually already pointed that out. I won't say which ones, but he had superb performance. I think this week is going to be a little bit different. I think that going against Ed Calchelsa. Ed Calchelsa is gritty, they grind it out, and you're talking about a team that has seen speed like this before, and they're familiar with the Vela type kind of teams. So I think this is going to be, I think this is the game of the week. I think Ed Calchelsa versus Vela is probably the game of the week, but it's going to be a tough game. He's not going to be able to get those nine touchdowns. I don't even think he's going to get 6. Or 4, I think it's going to be if he gets 3, I would kind of go around that number.
And last but not least, we're going to finish off with the varsity debut of Campbell Spates. We got word early last week that he was going to be the starting running back, and he did not disappoint. Jake, I got to talk to him earlier this week, and I know the comparison's a little bit out there, but I asked him, I said, did you know that Brett Favre's first pass in the NFL was an interception? He didn't know that. And the reason I brought that up, and the reason I thought it was a little fun to bring that up, was because his first carry was a fumble. 2 yards to the right, he fumbled it. Next play, he goes 67 yards for the score. And he looked real smooth. He looks quick. And he's got some pretty good moves.
Yeah, I talked to a former coach on Saturday, and he said that he's familiar with the program. When he was in 8th grade and stuff like that, he got to see his brother play. He got to lift with the team, and he was just familiar. He knew that there's cutback lanes, and he knew where those cutback lanes were. And you could see in the highlights. He knew exactly where the cutback lanes were, where the blocks were going to be, and it was he flows very nice in that offense.
Yeah, and one thing I told him in the interview was that I said, well, that first touchdown you scored, when you jumped, it seemed as instinctively you saw that lane where to cut, and as soon as he hit the ground, as soon as he hit the turf, he made that cut, and he outran about 3 or 4 guys. Something I had already seen in the 7-on-7. Back in the summer, he was already outrunning guys and making good plays. So we were real impressed with what Campbell had to do. So we're going to jump right into it. One of our 3 games we're going to talk about. We're going to start off with, which he said, game of the week, and that's Edcal Chelsea and Edinburgh Vela, 2 teams that went 3 rounds last year. So these 2 teams know what it's like to be in the playoffs. I did catch up with Coach Joe Marichalar earlier today, and he says it's not going to get any easier for us going up against an offense like Los Fresnos, and now going up against Edinburgh Vela with guys like Robert Guerra, Nate Garcia. And I think this game is a big game for both teams. I was asking Marichalar as far as, is it a must-win for you guys? Because would you start 0-2 or get your first win of the year? But he said that this team's a real resilient group after what they had to overcome last year. So this team really isn't fazed by anything. And they're a veteran group, and Marco did what we thought Marco could do. So the only question is going to be, can the defense step up and kind of slow down, maybe not stop, but slow down that offense like Vela?
Well, I don't think that they're going to put up 9 touchdowns by one person again this week. I don't really think that. I think that they're going to come down from an emotional high, and I think that I see Edcal Chelsea winning this game. I see Edcal Chelsea winning the game because they played poorly last week defensively, giving up 50 points. You just don't do that. The Edcal Chelsea defense doesn't do that. They're not going to do it 2 weeks in a row. And I think with Gene Garza's offense and Marichalar and Coach DP Danny Perez on the defensive side, you're not going to see the same Edcal Chelsea team. You're going to see a more defined team. I think it's going to be a better team. Nothing against Vela. I just think that Edcal Chelsea, you're playing at the Black Hole. I go with Edcal Chelsea.
Yeah, that's another big thing. They are at home, so Elsie's going to have their first home game of the year. I'm going to go with Edcal Chelsea too, because I really don't see them allowing that many yards, that many points in a game. But it's going to be a heck of a ball game, and if you're a fan of points, if you're a fan of airing it out, scoring touchdowns, I would be at this game. And Edinburgh Vela, they did what we didn't pick them to win last week. I don't think a lot of people did. And they went in there and they beat a very tough Victoria East team, a rematch of last year's area round. And Victoria East was a tough squad last year. They returned 8 guys or 9 guys this year to this team. So I think that was Vela's statement win of the year, and that's something they can build some momentum on. But yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on this one, Jake. I'm going to go with Edcal Chelsea. It's very hard to see Marco Aguinaga and company go 0-2 to start the year. So I did catch up with head coach Joe Marichalar, so here's what he had to say about their upcoming matchup against the Edinburgh Vela Sabercats.
Practice has been good for us. I think yesterday we had a little bit of rain, and that kind of lifted spirits up and got morale up on a high note. And, the enthusiasm was a little higher. But, they know that they have a tough task in Edinburgh Vela and trying to corral this young man here, Mr. Guerra here. But I'll tell you what, our kids, they're a tough bunch. They're a resilient bunch. And, really, what they've gone through last year and taking on this new year, I'll tell you what, man, these guys, they don't get phased very, very fast, very quick. All they know how to do is play football and play jacket football, so that's what they intend to do on Friday. Yeah, there's no secret that they have a good bunch over there, a good offense. But on our end, we talked about it with the kids, being better initial tacklers. The first guy to the ball, either secure the tackle or secure it there and wait for the whole swarm to get there. We can do that. That would easily eliminate 3 touchdowns that Los Fresnos had, and we'd be talking about this game differently, but it didn't, and that's the case. So we got to do a better job on that end. Also, field position was in their favor. So if we can do a better job in our initial tackling and have either set our defense for great field position or set our offense for great field position. You know, if we can do those things, then we'll be okay at the night, and we don't need to get all riled up and caught up in all the other stuff that's going on around. If we can just concentrate on fixing our problems and doing what we set up on the game plan, we'll be all right at the end of the night, Kevin.
So the second game we have on our schedule is, we might think, is going to be the fastest game this weekend and the fastest game probably all year. Why? Because Weslaco East and McAllen Memorial will be squaring off at McAllen Veterans Memorial Stadium. If you're an old school guy and if you like running the football, this might be your game to be at.
This would be the game that I want to be at if I was calling the game, because I'm going to be at a passer's delight game. This will be a runner's delight game. This will be a speed game. I got a video online of it. Is this going to be the quickest game of the year? I really think it has the good makings for it, because Weslaco East only passed twice last week, 1 of 2. So will they pass more this week? I doubt it. I think it's going to be a grinded out game. Memorial doesn't pass that much. They pass more, but they pass. But they're going to run they're going to run the ball with Mendez and Spates. So you know, this is a toss-up, because Memorial they've got questions right now at the receiver spots and also at the quarterback spot. You know, because they're filling those spots. Weslaco East has Lefevre. All right, they've got a great defense. All right, I'm going to give the edge to Weslaco East in this game. Where's the game at?
It's at McAllen.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Color me mean here, but McAllen fans don't really come out as hard as the Weslaco peeps do. So Weslaco East peeps. So I'm going to go with the Weslaco East.
Yeah, this one's a really tough game to choose, and I got to see both these teams last week, and I'll be honest with you, McAllen Memorial looked a lot better than I thought, and that's because I saw their 7-on-7, I saw their practices during spring ball, but I was really impressed with what Campbell did, what Emilio Mendez did, who was a fullback last year and did not get as many carries as he's now getting this year. Now, there's one key thing that I want people to understand, is that JoJo Williams is not back yet in that lineup. JoJo Williams, would you agree he's faster than Trevor?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, petite. He's a petite guy.
He's smaller, but
yeah.
As far as speed goes.
I don't know if he get faster.
The kid can fly, okay? So once JoJo comes back, you're talking about Emilio Mendez, Campbell Spates, and JoJo Williams, all in that backfield. And it's going to make for a very scary rushing attack. The offensive line is the big key here, because that's one thing that Coach Littleton talked about, and one thing we knew coming into this season was that offensive line was all coming back, and Mendez was going to be leading the way. And then Memorial defense, of course, with Tres Domain back there, and they're pretty good defense. They held down a Pioneer offense who we expect to be lighting up other teams. They did really well there. Now, Weslaco East, I got to see on Friday night at Richard Thompson Stadium against the Rattlers, and you're right, they did not attempt a single pass in the first half. It was in the second half is when they completed one of 2 passes. So we went through a whole first half, folks, of Weslaco East running the football, whether it was 3rd and 8, whether it was 2nd and 9. They ran the football every single play, and their defense was really impressive. I like what Vargas did back there. Had 3 interceptions, including the game clincher, and it's a tough one to pick. Now, I picked East to win last week. I picked against Memorial this week. I'm going to have to go with Weslaco East in this one. I think at this point they're a little bit more physical than McAllen Memorial is. Don't get me wrong, Memorial is a physical football team. They like to run it just as much as East does, but I'm going to have to give the slight edge to Weslaco East in this one. Something around, 24-21, one of those close-knit ball games, but I really like what Memorial's doing. I like what they have offensively, and again, there are some question marks around the offense, but when you have a 3-headed horse like that, once JoJo comes back, it eases the burden on all those gaps. And welcome back, and our third game and final game that we are going to dissect is the mystery that are the Sherryland Rattlers, Jake, and Edinburgh North. So, Sherryland, Jake?
He went to North. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
You made that clear last week, yes. Okay. Sherryland, some people might think I would have gone to Sherryland because I've always supported Sherryland. I've always covered a lot of their games. But I don't know. I liked what I saw in Sherryland. They only lost 21-14 to a tough Weslaco East team last week. They turned the ball over, I think it was 4 times, they had a fumble and 3 picks. When you turn the ball over 4 times, it makes it very difficult for your team to win a game. They did have a shot late. They got the ball back with 45 seconds, and they're only down 1 score. So to me, if you can hang with a Westlake East team like that, I think you're going to be pretty good in the long run. And Alan Alvarez did some pretty good things at the quarterback position, new quarterback there for the Rattlers. But they have, both teams are coming in at 0-1. One's going to be 0-2. So it's kind of that game where you want to get that first win, but at the same time, we're still in non-district, so it's not necessarily a must-win game. This game is going to be at Flores Stadium, newly named. So, Jake, what are your thoughts on the Rattlers and Cougars?
Yeah, they're playing at Cat Stadium. All right, you can call it anything you want. It's Cat Stadium. If you don't know, they don't want to call it Cat Stadium because Bobcats, trying to figure it out. So they try to make it happy and change it around. All right. Anyways, this is just a mess with people.
He works at Bobcats.
All right. So let's be realistic here. This is a must-win game. Anybody that knows, about these teams, 0-2 is you're setting yourself up because remember, Edinburgh North plays Vela the first game of district, so you can't go 0-2 and then you have to win.
Harlingen South.
Yeah, Harlingen South's playing well. So I'm going to tell you this right now. They have to have this win. Edinburgh North has to have this win. Sherrylands played Harlingen High and scrimmage is tough. They played Westlake East tough. I give the edge to Sherryland on this one. I give the edge, even though it's on the road. Cat Stadium doesn't really scare people like other stadiums do. It's old. It's not very modern. It doesn't really have that feel like you go to like Sherryland, Westlaco, Mercedes. Those kind of feels. So look, I nothing against the district, but I got to go with Sherryland in this game. I think that they're going to win, and I think going down 14, you're up 14-0 and losing to a Brownsville Vet team that was searching for their identity, even though they were reloaded. That's a difficult one. So I'm going to go Sherryland for this one. I'm not trying to be mean, but Sherryland.
Again, this one, like the game before, is it's a tough one to choose from because, again, both teams are going to look for that first win. Edinburgh North is at home. They were up 14-0, you're right, and they had 2 missed field goals in that game. And I'm going to have to go with Edinburgh North in this one. I think Christian Espinosa has enough to get it done. They got some young guys that are expected to start making plays. Justin Guerra at the running back position. I just think they get this one, but it's going to be close. Somewhere along the lines of a 28-26, one of those close games. And the thing is, we picked at least I picked both these teams to make the playoffs. One of them I picked to win district, the other I picked the 4th spot in the playoffs. So when it's all said and done, I still believe these 2 teams are playoff teams. Whether one or the other goes 0-2, I still think they can make the playoffs. But I'm going to have to go with Edinburgh North in this one. They're going to get just enough to get it done.
Okay.
So that's a wrap for week 2 of the midweek grind. We have those 3 games that we touched on, sort of made our picks. In just a little while, we're going to do the predictions.
Live on Facebook.
On Facebook Live, so that's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll pick all the games from the small schools to the 5As to the 6As. So tomorrow, Jake, where will you be at Thursday?
I was going to go, I'm still thinking about it. I'm going to go to Edinburgh and Lopez, but I really want to go see PSG North and Donna. So, but more than likely I'm going to go and say EHS and Lopez. I'm going to call this out right now. I think EHS is going to get their first win of the season. God knows that this is the game that if they're going to get a win, this is one of them right here.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, who's your prediction? Who do you think is going to win? I think so too. I think JJ Leha gets his first win as a Bobcat. And I think they're going to get it done.
Just don't re-kick. We're fine.
Yeah.
All right.
So, and then tomorrow I will be at Mac High PSG Memorial. So, we'll both teams.
Yeah, we'll have highlights from every game.
Yeah, and then Friday night you'll be at Mercedes.
Yeah, I'll be at Mercedes.
Okay, and then I will be at 2 games. I will be at the Edinburgh North Sherryland game for starters, and then hopefully I'll make it in time for the Westlake East McAllen Memorial game. So those games look to be a lot of fun. All right, be sure to follow us on the social media sites at 956 Sports on Twitter, like us on Facebook, 956 Sports, at 956 Sports on Instagram as well, at Naro88. at Jake956
Sports.
Sports. So that's a wrap for the midweek grind week 2. We'll see you next week.